This is a I almost said Aries, but post Scorpio new moon reading to kind of integrate and help you continue to move through some of the energy that's been coming up this week, which has been a lot. I did a longer astro specific reading yesterday if you want to go back and watch that for the new moon, kind of giving you an overview of the vibes as I saw them. Today we're going to focus on how we can continue to find catharsis, release, and maybe initiate or step deeper into a new energy. This new moon, I'll speak for myself, it was really hard. It was not a good time. But I took a 2 hour bath last night, added some herbs, and I woke up today feeling much, 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 much better. And recognized that I was really stuck in my ego this past week, just like kind of swimming in the filth emotionally and energetically. And that's okay. That was like kind of the point to some degree of this astrological weather, was to show us the ways that we were just like keeping ourselves stuck in some bullshit and not taking opportunities to improve our lives, but rather just kind of like staying stuck and maybe complaining about it to ourselves or to others, maybe feeling kind of like helpless and powerless. And often we do see patterns around power or powerlessness emerge during Scorpio season. And I think that that was emphasized this week because we have a Mars Cazimi, where the sun and Mars meet in the sky at the exact same degree. We also have Uranus opposing the sun and Mars. And with yesterday's new moon, the moon was involved there too. So we had the sun, the moon, and Mars all opposite Uranus and Taurus. And so that like polarity between Taurus and Scorpio can bring up a lot of power stuff, and it can bring up a lot of body stuff and emotional stuff. And I, again, spoke more about that in my longer reading. But what I want to speak to, since I've felt it now and I'm kind of understanding it at a personal level and as a 12th house person, often what I'm experiencing personally is very reflective of kind of a collective energy that's happening too. And so what I've felt is that I needed to really go deeply into my egoic response in order to see it clearly and in order to choose differently. So you may have noticed that you yourself kind of went into some type of extreme or just sunk really hard and maybe really fast. And hopefully by now you've felt some type of shift. If you haven't, I would encourage you to go take a bath if you can, or just soak your feet in like a vat of water. You can throw Epsom salt in there. I recommend adding bay leaves, cardamom pods, rosemary, star anise if you have any of those on hand. Or just intuitively pick herbs that feel right to you, that you're not allergic to, and soak and cry and get angry and do whatever it is that you need to do in order to release some of the emotions that are coming up. Because there's a lot. There's a lot collectively, and if you're a sensey person or just a person with a heart and like empathy, you probably are feeling a lot right now, and it's important to give yourself moments to release those emotions because you will act out on their behalf, and grief turns into rage, and rage eats away at us if we're not expressing it. And so the theme of this reading, which I don't think I've mentioned yet, is Aries, North Node, and the 12th house. And the North Node is currently in Aries. Maybe for some of you, Aries is your 12th house, like me. I'm a Taurus Rising, and the North Node is currently transiting my 12th house, which is, I have Aries on the 12th house cusp. And so for some of you, that might be the case. For others of you, maybe your natal North Node is in the 12th house. Or maybe your North Node is in Aries and this is your nodal return. The sense that I'm getting here is that there's just a lot of junk that's moving through our psyche and our subconscious, and you may not even be conscious of it. It's called the subconscious for a reason. But there's this feeling that there's rage that's been brewing there and sitting there, and it needs to have some type of venue for expression. Another thing I've talked about a lot recently. But this time it's less like go assert yourself, go like take action. That's here too, sure. And there's a lot of action that we all need to be taking in this moment. But it's also a very sort of a moment of surrender, a moment to realize what we do and do not have control over, a moment to hand over what we can to the divine. The 12th house invites us into that, into surrender, into humility, the recognition of what we can and cannot control, and can and cannot impact and change in our lives. And it's the end. The 12th house is the end. It's the end of all endings. And it brings us into the sort of like spiritual release that we need to experience as people in order to grow and not get stuck again in this sort of egoic response that keeps us like immobilized or acting out or whatever. The cards that I have coming up are the Two of Wands, which is an Aries card, the Hierophant, which is a Taurus card, and the Eight of Cups, which I'm spacing on, I think is a Pisces card, but it may be Scorpio. So there is a need for us to recommit to something or commit to something in the first place. And that could be a study, that could be a spiritual discipline. I feel for most of us, it is a spiritual discipline, something that you've fallen off with, that you know is good for you, that you know sustains you. And you just have to kind of like give yourself compassion for the ways that you've fallen off, but then also recommit to it and be like, it's time for me to get back on this because like, it's just time. With the Eight of Cups, what I'm feeling here is that most of us are needing to consciously walk away from an emotional state of being that has been keeping us powerless, in a state of victimhood, in a state of kind of like romanticized melancholy. I say that with love because that is a state that I'm very familiar with, like the sort of like hyping up being sad. It's like sad girl vibes. It's like, I'm just gonna be sad and I'm just gonna stay here and this is cozy and it's comfortable and I'm gonna listen to sad music and feel like I don't have any control over my life. And while like, you know, it's attractive to be there at times, it also is really self-defeating and it can be very like self-perpetuating. Like you think you don't want to be there, but then you make choices to get there unconsciously, and then you're there, then you're like, why am I here? And then it just keeps repeating and keeps repeating. And so there's a very, very clear opportunity for us to step out of this cycle right now, but you have to make the choice. And that might mean just taking an action that is aligned with that choice without like feeling like you're there yet. Like for me last night, I was like, I feel like an absolute fucking garbage fire right now. But dumpster fire, garbage fire. But I like, and I don't want to make choices that are going to help me feel better. Like I really didn't. I did not want to feel better. I just wanted to like simmer in my bullshit. So I was like, what's going to help me with this? I'm going to just put myself in the bath. I'm going to like turn the bath on, prepare it, and maybe I feel like shit right now and I don't want to feel better, but after I spend some time soaking, that will shift for me. And it did. It helped a lot. I got to bed earlier. I've been staying up way too late and just being really unkind to my body. And last night I got to bed at a decent hour after taking a long bath, and I woke up today and my energy has really shifted. And so maybe it's not a bath for you. Maybe it's something else that you need to do that like just take the step, do the thing, take an action. Even if everything within you is like, I don't want to do this, this isn't going to help, there's a part of you that knows it will. And I think that that part is like hanging out in the background, like, all right, when are you going to tap me in? When are you going to let me do something here? And so just give that part of you, that like more parental part of you, the opportunity to make a choice on your behalf and see how it helps your whole system kind of like step into a new emotional reality. I do feel like it's really close, and I know it sucks and things are tough right now. But you will feel better. Just take that step. Okay. I love you.